And joining me now from Ein Gedi in Israel are Bruce Cowley, Robin Mirsky, and the executive director, Toby Rosner. Welcome to the CJN Daily.
Thank you.
Hi, Ellen.
Great to be with you.
Thanks for having us.
It's great to see you. You've just come off a long day of hiking. How many hours? What was the temperature? How many steps? Fill us in. Start with you, Bruce.
The weather was beautiful. It was hot. We didn't get much shade, which also always makes the hike a little more difficult in some way, more challenging. But you keep going. You put one foot in front of the other, and it's so exciting for us to be here. I mean, I can't believe I'm back again after what we've been going through over the last year and a half, and it's great to be here.
And Robin, this is your first trip, so yeah. I'm going to start with you. How did it come about that you decided to join the OneFamily Fund?
So I've heard about OneFamily and the hike for a very long time. Toby is a friend from home, and she took on the role of executive director just before COVID started. And I kept hearing about the hike, and I know a lot of people have been on the hike, and I thought, it's time for me.
What does it say that the decision was made to actually have the hike when so many other organizations, Hazon and what have you, have canceled theirs this year and put it off to, like, why did you decide that this year was a go, even if it was going to be tough?
So it was challenging. We looked at it a number of ways. The bottom line really was that this charity and this hike in particular is about connecting with the victims of terror. There is a serious relationship going on here between the individuals who hike and the individuals of the board of OneFamily, of which Bruce was and Robin now is. And it was about getting back here and showing them that we cared enough to get on a plane. And certainly the reaction of the victims of terror that have been with us to date has validated that that was an important decision.
But you were able to come in May during the hostilities. I want to bring in that topic, and maybe we'll ask Robin a bit. Of the people who were victims of terror in the recent hostilities or since then, have you been able to meet any or see any? And what was your experience with that like?
So when I was here in the spring, immediately following the war, I met with a number of them, a lot of them actually, both in hospitals and in homes. Varying degrees of impact, emotional, of course, and also physical, some very seriously affected people. That was shocking, I guess, is the best thing I have to say, to see the extent of the human toll that went on from that war, short by some war standards, was something else. And to see what OneFamily actually does, from showing up in hospital rooms and shivas, addressing the emotional impact from bereavement to absolute loss, was really something else. We were in fact hoping to have, we've a number of victims of terror, over 40, but they outnumber the participants, those that will join us this week and have joined us. There were a couple that we were hoping to bring from the May hostilities. Unfortunately, they weren't well enough actually to be able to come out, but we did do some visiting before the trip, so they're not here for the hike. But yeah, it was brutal. It was real.
I saw a picture of a copse of trees in Ein Gedi that had a line or hung photos of victims on it just recently. Can somebody explain what that is and how that happens, how that tree is built and who they are?
So that's actually right behind us right now. This is the area where we will be shortly convening with all the victims of terror for dinner and for before dinner drinks. And what happens at the dinner is not only do we have victims of terror that hike, but we have other guests that come that did not hike with us, whether because they can't or because they're just arriving, they're coming and going. There's a lot of intricate scheduling going on. But there are a number of things we do before the hike, sort of, hate to use the word props, but things that we do. For example, when we hike, every hiker is wearing a tag that commemorates some particular lost person on our backpack. The thing you saw on the trees was, that was actually a new idea we had just the day before we came, was to start printing pictures so that the people, first of all, so we can remember look, there are thousands, unfortunately, of these people. We don't have pictures of them all, but so that the people who were coming here would see pictures of their loved ones and know how much we care. We've got Yortzeit candles on every table. We had the honor of having the bereaved fathers choir sing for us the other night.
So who are you walking for, Robin? Who's on your backpack?
So the man that I'm hiking for, I met his daughter. She was here and she was with him when he was killed. It was a terrorist attack in a mall and they were eating dinner and two men walked in wearing suits and opened fire and her father was killed. And I met her and we spoke at length and she said, you can ask me anything. And she's been to Camp Timberlane. And she is extremely close to OneFamily. And this happened.
It was the Sarona Market terrorist
Yes,
attack. I
thank
don't know if you recall that one, that stands out for a lot of people because it happened smack in the middle of Tel Aviv's business district, which
Yeah.
is not sort of typical of the attacks that have taken place in the last few years. So yeah, the daughter's been amazing. She's
Yeah.
been
She hiked
How
with
old is
us
she?
and she
How old is she?
She
20.
20, 20. Yes,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, but she was lovely and very open. We talked a lot about it and, you know, her PTSD is significant because she was there and watched her father killed in front of her.
What did you say to her? How did you manage to overcome whatever reluctance you might have had to
know,
talk?
And I'll tell you, I was reluctant because it's you know, this is my first hike. This was my first real interaction with a victim of terror. And it, you know, and I wasn't sure, am I asking too many questions? Am I asking not enough questions? She made it easy because she said, you can ask me anything. And I think it helps them to talk about it. It helps them to remember. It helps them to know that people care about them.
One of the very special things about this organization is it's been going since 2001, right? Since the Sbarro bombing. And people stay in the program. So at any given time, you've got victims of terror that have been with the organization for 20, 18, 17 years, and they're sitting there with open arms, tragically welcoming the ones from 4 months ago. We had family, a couple and their daughter, their 10-year-old daughter hiking with us yesterday. Their incident was terrorist attack was 4 months ago. And they look, it's peer support. That's not a new concept, but they put this into effect in a brilliant way. I went in the spring to the bereaved mothers cooking group that's taken place every Tuesday for 20 years. And it was the full range there. And you watch how they embrace each other. You watch the progress they've made in terms of putting one foot in front of the other. But on the other hand, you watch that the loss is as raw for them as it is for the people who were unfortunately welcomed 30 days earlier.
And what was the incident? Was it
those are really the subtle ways that OneFamily can have an impact, a very positive impact on people, in that, you know, we enable those sorts of communities to start. And, you know, nobody wants to be a part of that community, of course. But on the other hand, you know, people, you know, OneFamily is there for people. And these communities start, like the the bereaved fathers choir group. And, you know, mothers that get together. As a matter of fact, they put out a cookbook about 3 or 4 years ago. And, you know, it's an incredible group of people. And, you know, it's a diverse group. They're from all socioeconomic levels. They live in all parts of the country. Their stories are all different. And, you know,
and all religions.
All religions.
Yeah, we have Druze and a Circassian Muslim couple that were with us. This is all inclusive. This is about victims of terror
in Israel.
Period, in Israel.
One of the most incredible parts of this hike is the Paratrek. And I want to know whether either of you or any of you have actually physically participated in carrying or lifting, and describe that. What was that?
So yeah, we were on Paratrek today.
Yes.
Actually, there were a number of routes. And by the way, make no mistake, this is serious hiking. This is serious hiking, as I learned today.
This is not a walk in the park.
No,
Not
in
a
a
walk.
moment
No.
of terror, this is absolutely what they call moderate hiking, is what the
Yeah.
average person would call
Uh,
quite
yeah.
serious hiking. But yes, there, I mean, there are moments when we have young people from the prep year for the IDF, from the Mechina programs that come to assist. So that's part of the coordination, people who will come lift the Paratrek vehicles along with the Paratrek professionals. But there are moments where you're in a tricky spot and trying to get up a hill, and people like us are also, maybe not me so much at 5'2", but are picking up the chair and helping the
Yeah.
people to get over what is challenging
Whatever's in
terrain.
front of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there something that Bruce wanted to close on, that you want our listeners and viewers to understand about this 20th anniversary year and the trip?
You know, I guess we can count milestones. We're here to raise money for victims, but really, every day is a milestone for somebody whose life has been shattered. Every day is a challenge when you've lost a daughter or a son or a mom or a dad. And yeah, I mean, I guess we can count those anniversaries and those milestones, but I'm just reminded all the time, like, you know, and victims share their stories. Today, for example, we heard how, you know, a couple of people were killed, and in one case, the wife related the story. She was there at the time.
Mhm.
In her car, a terrorist came up, shot husband who was driving the car. She was shot a couple of times, was very, you know, seriously injured. She had I think as like a 4-year-old in the back seat who was shot in the leg. And, you know, these stories are devastating and shocking. And really, this stuff they live with this stuff every
day.
single day. They never forget it. One of the men that was talking about who lost his son in 2007 was just saying, our lives are different. You know, they'll never be the same. And every day you wake up and that's the first thing you think about. So yes, it's great to be here. It's great to connect, but it's unfortunate that we have to be here to raise money for these folks.
Well, and to make to one more point about the anniversaries, we gave it thought because, you know, I come from technology where an anniversary is a marketing opportunity. We talked a lot about the 20th anniversary and how potentially to market it in support of fundraising. And there wasn't an appropriate way because our goal is to go out of business.
Mhm.
We don't want to be here at all.
Very
So
good
there's,
point.
yeah, so it's not a celebration of any kind, right? It's just it's a fact of life here in Israel. It's a fact of life, and it's a horrific sacrifice people make just living here every day.
Thank you so much for being on the CJN Daily. It's great to have this conversation across the ocean, and good luck for the end of the trip.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Ellen.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.